Oh, hey friends, it's Romania Black, and no big deal, it's just the rule of eight for Windbreaker! Okay, so if you are new to my channel, or if this is the first series that you've watched that is a 12 to 13 episode series, you may be like, Romania, what is the rule of eight? The rule of eight is a rule that I started many years ago that has not led me astray yet, and that is that the eighth episode of any short season, whether it's 12 or 13 or even 11 episodes, the eighth episode is usually really good. And so that's where we're at. And we're in the middle of the Togame and Sakura fight. So it feels pretty fitting at this point, right? It feels pretty fitting. So usually that's because the eighth episode is like the turning point in arc where we're ending the second act and transitioning into the third act. So we still have Umemiya and Choji, but this is like one of the main event matches, and Togami has been built up this season to be one of our main antagonists, if not our main antagonist. So I'm pretty excited about this episode. But before we dive into this episode, we need to talk about several comments for episodes 4 and episodes 5, and my dog has also declared that I have to throw this ball to him, so I'm going to be doing that for a little bit. I swear, he was over there sleeping, and the moment I opened my mouth and started gushing, he was like, time to throw a toy. So at this point, it's like a Pavlovian response, and it's my own fault. Hopefully that's okay. But I have a couple comments from episode 4 that I want to talk about. Tasto3204 says that Umemiya, the leader of the most known gang around, is using his great authority and influence to get his whole team to sponsor his sister's cafe. Yes, essentially so. I mean, hey, he could be using his authority and power for worse things, right? At least they don't have to tend to his garden. He seems pretty self-managing as far as that goes, but I love that. I'm so excited to see the Umemiya fight, but we're not ready for that yet. I'm still liking the Togami and Sakura fight a lot. Aerith1202 says, there is a name play in Choji and Togami. To the toe in Tomoyama, Choji means hare, while the toe in Togamijo means tortoise. Choji is jumpy and really like a little gremlin, while Togami walks and talks at his own slow pace. Okay, I'm so used to calling him Choji that I didn't realize that it was like Tomamiya, Togami. I was like, oh, they both have the same character, but they mean different things. That's so freaking cool. Love that. Love that. And I also like the tortoise and the hare. I'm very curious about where this episode and next week's gonna go, but we'll see. Rebecca, for episode 5, says that Same is actually the Japanese word for shark. The jury's still out if it's an intentional bilingual pun or not, though. I think Sunspots was saying they wanted to like see a whole presentation about shark movies. Same. Or Same. So that's cool. Alexandra Q says for episode 5, Suo is truly one of a kind. Something I really like about his character, and that might feed into the whole idea that he is a gentleman, is that he uses martial arts to fight, more controlled and refined than normal street fighting styles that the rest of the characters seem to have, but they're well honed, but more about strength than the precision of movement that martial arts tends to prefer. Of course, I don't quite follow the idea that Suo is a gentleman either, as he seems a bit sadistic, but using martial arts fits his character really well. Yeah, the whole gentleman thing, I feel is more of his air and refinement, but his actual personality, I don't know if gentleman fits, but the style of fighting is very elegant and refined. Alexander Q also says, Narei wanting to learn how to protect, not to fight for the sake of fighting, but to protect is so sweet. And of course, it triggers Sakura's tsundere side and has him blushing. I'm all for Sakura being a blushing fiend, because most of the tsundere main characters of shonen are like, yeah, I'm tough, I got this, I ain't crying. But Sakura actually shows his emotions, and I'm like, yes, please, show your emotions, young men. You really should. It's okay, I swear to you. So you need to show those emotions. Don't bury them and let them just fester, please. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy with the results. Sunspots says Suo is just dancing with Kanama. Beautifully choreographed, but also so funny. At one point, he just literally holds his hand as Kanama falls over and then helps him back up just to throw him. It was such a good fight. I really love the fight. Suo's fight is one of my favorites so far. But yeah, and yes, I really love Suo presenting imagination not as an entirely childish quality, but something that's necessary for true empathy. And I loved the discussion around that. Thank you. It definitely is, you have to have empathy to understand the other side of things, and you have to have empathy to also know when you need to stop engaging with the other side. It's kind of like, not to get dark and very like grim, but it's kind of like when people talk about drone warfare and using robots in wars. I'm like, let's not do that, because then the humanity in you tells you when to stop. And if you strip that away, then you don't stop. And let's not do that or go there, you know? But that's a whole different other discussion. And then finally, Sulieri says for episode 5, I love how perceptive Umemiya is. He looks at Choji and Togami and sees Togami's tough face. He's the only one of Furin's crew that seems to be interested in checking on their mood and its changes. He's very observational, and I'm so curious where that's going to take us with him. Just like Furin's boys have plants in their names, Shishitoran boys have animals in their names. Okay, I didn't read all the animal translations until now that I'm going to read with you all, but the end of this sentence was like a moment, and I was like, oh my god, especially after episode 7. Kame and Togami means turtle. Tomamiya means hare or rabbit. Ko in Sako means fox. That makes sense. Ma in Arima means horse. Kanama means deer. That makes a lot of sense, which is quite funny when you know that Ori means cage. I was like, all these boys, Shishitoran is like a cage to them. It is literally imprisoning them and keeping them from becoming their full free selves. It's literally this cage of power and devotee of power. The cage that's been created is literally holding them hostage. And we've seen from Choji last episode what effect that's had on him. And I was just like, oh my god, that connects so well. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. Absolutely wonderful. But yeah, those are the comments that I've gotten. So thank you all so much for watching with me, for commenting, for being so amazing. I am loving all of the comments so far. I really, really appreciate it. Also, shout out to the mods, to Floor, for checking all the comments. It's just, I love it. It's great. I'm having the best time with this series, but I've been so excited about this episode. I should be watching other things right this week. I'm watching a little bit ahead. I should be watching other things, but I can't. Windbreaker is like my, I want to watch something fun and something that's like my comfort anime. Here we go. That's it. So, and that's why we're going to start this episode. Now, I have been told that I can watch the ED. I can watch the OP and the ED this week, which is super exciting. It said after episode 8, which I'm assuming is after this episode is over. I'm assuming so. We're going to see. Surely, I feel like it is. We're gonna wrap up Sakura versus Togami, I feel, in this episode. I don't know if we'll get to Choji versus Umemiya this episode, but I feel like the OP and ED are okay to watch right now, so we're gonna go with it. If not, I'm so sorry, but thank you all so much for your kindness, for your support. We are going to start Windbreaker, and we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do it to it, Lars. Yeah. The tea is piping hot, y'all. What a good episode. Oh, the rule of 8. I told y'all, the rule of 8 does not let us down. It is just not capable of it. And OP and ED, nice. I like the ED a lot. It's super cute. I really like it. I guess we needed to wait until after episode 7 with Togami and Choji in the theater, I guess, to show it. But yeah, whoa. I freaking love Togami. Togami's design, his green eyes, the moment that hair came off, I was like, ah! The moment he kicked off his shoes, I was like, oh no, it's all going down now. I was like, let your freak flag fly, sir. Let that hair down. Anytime an anime character lets their hair down, I'm just like, ha 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 ha. So good. But we need to talk about this episode. What there is to talk about. It was mainly fists. It was mainly these teenage boys getting their aggression out of their system. Oh, I mean, I've watched Death Becomes Her. Women are just as capable. Anybody's capable of using their adrenaline and just beating the snot out of each other. But I feel like when Umemiya was telling Sakura about fighting with his fists, he's like, you can connect to the person you're brawling against and figure out what's going on. So the moment that Togami was getting sluggish, his hits weren't landing, and Sakura started noticing, he's like, he could feel the energy and the vibes that Togami was giving, and he's like, why are you so off? Why is this weird? Are you giving up? And Sakura's like, I will not be insulted by you giving up on me. His momentum and drive is just gone. And to be fair, a lesser person would have taken advantage of Togami and been like, okay, well, I'm just going to beat you up and that's it. But Sakura is not built that way. Sakura's like, I want to fight you at your strongest. Sakura gives me a lot of vibes of Kagami from Kuroko's Basketball, and Kagami is one of my favorites in that series. So Sakura gives me that vibe of, I want to challenge. I want to fight the best. He's like, you didn't want to dodge. The one thing I would say about this episode is most of Shishitorin were like quiet and silent up until Togami like got knocked out by Sakura. I was expecting them to be a little bit more vocal about Togami not giving it his A game, but maybe from where they were sitting, they couldn't tell like Sakura could tell because they weren't actually fighting him. We're just going to assume that. But yeah, I also like the confirmation that Sakura, he's like, we all at Boferin came in thinking we all were on the same page. And now we've come to find out that that's not the case. And he's like, what the hell are you trying to do? And Togami's like, look, he's like, I punched those guys because they were scumbags. He's like, they were not keeping up. This is the place for the strong. This is not the place for scumbags. And Sakura's like, oh, well, what about you? And I like that Choji being in the front row of the theater by himself is such a good symbolic image of Choji. Shoji's at the front all alone. And if you think about it, it's such a good metaphor because before Togami was like either behind Choji or he was sitting next to Choji, but they were at the top. Everybody else at Shishitorin were sitting behind them. If you notice, Umemiya has been sitting next to Hiragi, but also Sugi, but also in the same row as Narai, Sakura, and Suo this entire time. Because I feel like one of Umemiya's arguments next episode is going to be, yeah, I'm on top. Sure, I'm the top dog, but these people are all with me. I'm not treating myself like I'm better than them. And also, get a hobby. I feel like Umemiya's like, look, I take my pin out aggression and I garden with it. He's like, you could bake cookies, or you could go paint murals, or you could go take up a soccer league. Like, he's like, you need a hobby. Fighting cannot just be your hobby. I'm excited. You all have no idea how hyped I am for Umemiya versus Choji after this little sneak peek that we got this episode. I'm so excited. And so Togami talks about when you lose your mind, your limbs don't function properly. He's like, I spent more time with skinning all these scumbags. And then we got into the tussle against Boferin, which is Choji's obsession. Which Choji, I feel, is jealous of Umemiya because Umemiya seems so happy and he seems like he's having a great time. And Choji's like, why can't I be happy like you? What are you doing that I'm not doing right? We're both at the top. So why are you happy and I'm miserable? And so I feel like that conversation needs to happen next episode. The question is, I don't know if Umemiya is going to get into Choji or if he's going to have to just beat the snot out of him. Umemiya took a big brunt of the attack this episode, but usually when someone starts out taking the brunt of the attack, I'm like, oh no, they're getting their footing and then they're going to come back and kick the bejesus out of you. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Togami says we roped everyone into a fight with no shred of justice for ourselves, but there's no turning back. My favorite part of this episode, I think, was when Togami was like, I did the wrong thing. What Choji was suggesting was wrong, and what I should have done is I should have, as his friend, fought him on it and been like, no, this is stupid. Let's fight it out in the rain, but I'm going to beat some sense into you, kid, because this is a terrible idea. He's like, we should have fought it out. We should have talked about it. And if talking and fighting are the equivalents in this series, he's like, we should have fought it out. We should have talked to one another about why this was a bad idea. He's like, I should have stood my ground. If Choji is my friend, I should have let him know how I feel instead of enabling these behaviors that I know are making him feel miserable, and I'm just enabling it and letting it continue without telling him how I don't like it and how he doesn't like it and we should work through it and try something different. Love it. Love that entire moment. That was so good. And then he's like, I can't stop here. And Choji just in the chair watching. And that, like, I loved the symbolism of the symbol of Shishitorin was faded. And then you see, like, the cage light flashing outside. Now that we have that, that interpretation, it's so good. But yeah, and him just looking up at the sky, I want to head to the mountains. And Sakura's like, are you crazy? But yeah, it's just like, Togame's like, I just want to be free. I just want to get out of this cage. I don't want to be held hostage by these morals anymore that I don't believe in. And then Sakura's like, well, you're just doing the same thing these scumbags are doing. He's like, you're strong, but you're lame. And he's like, I'm going to win against you and make you realize it. And when that happens, you're going to stop being lame and become an awesome guy that I want to fight against. I love it. Sakura's is like, he's like, I want to fight the best of the best and you're not being your best right now. So I'm going to beat the snot out of you and maybe that'll change things. He's like, well, that's quite selfish of you. And it's like, no, Sakura is a little bit selfish. He also kind of talks out of turn. He also says things that maybe, aren't quite, he's, a little bit above his pay grade, but I like that Sakura owns up to it. He's like, hell yeah, I'm selfish. Like, at least Sakura is self-aware. This is what it means to push your will through in a fight, isn't it? We got so many ab shots in this episode. The bingo card was bingo carding. I feel like I need to make a windbreaker bingo card. I said that last episode. I haven't gotten to it. I need to get on that. I need to make a windbreaker bingo card. That needs to happen. He's like, no matter how strong my opponent, even if that guy saved my life, maybe by the end of season 1, I'll have it made. I'll try to make it before episode 9. Let's do that. He's like, I'm not going to distort who I am. And I love that he said that because Sakura is like, even if I'm selfish, even if I'm being a brat, even if I'm in the wrong, I'm not going to change who I am just to take the sidelines, just to appease somebody. He's like, no, I'm going to speak out. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Fine, whatever. But I'm not going to compromise who I am by, compromising for somebody else. No. So, God, I love that scene. And I love that we got, first of all, Choji's eyes being completely pitch black. He's got the dead eyes that a character in Ace of the Diamond has, and I'm ready for those eyes of Choji's to light back up again. I need that to happen. I need that to happen by the end of this season. I think it will, but I need that to happen. But then Togame's like eyes, the rain coming down off his hair and filling up his eyes like tears. Shut the frick up. And him crying like, this poor guy that lost his jacket, he's just soaked. He's just gonna die of hypothermia. Also, if you've ever been out in the rain in flip-flops, do you know how nasty and uncomfortable that feels? That's such a gross feeling. Poor Togame. I feel for him. But yeah, him just like crying in the rain there. I feel like they added the tears there from the last episode. They really did. He's like, you are really good at pushing people's buttons. Yeah, Sakura pretty much excels at that. And then him kicking off the sandals. My name is Togame, Joe Togame. I was like, oh, the moment the sandals came off, I was like, oh, we're getting down to brass tacks. We're getting down to business. And then him letting the hair go, and doing the stance and his eyes are all clear. He's like, let's get to it. And he said Sakura. He didn't call him Othello-kun. He called him Sakura. Such a good moment. That's my favorite moment of the episode, I believe. And then Sakura's like, hell yes. Now here we go. I freaking loved the fight choreography in this show. What I love about it is that it is different for each character. Like, there are moves that Togame and Sakura do, but then when we get to Choji, he's like a little freaking jackrabbit, and he's like jumping like a gymnast on top of Umemiya. And we haven't even seen Umemiya really do anything except exude his big dick energy aura that literally caused Choji to nosebleed. So I'm so excited for episode 9. I really am. We're gonna have to get the bingo card ready. He's like, they're laughing. Yeah, it's like not only like kids will be kids sort of things, teenagers will be teenagers, but it's like these two guys fighting uninhibited for the first time and getting to be themselves. And Sakura's excited because he's like, okay, finally you're opening up and showing me your moves. And Togami is excited because he's not inhibited by these shackles that Shishitorin has put on him throughout the last several episodes. So it's really cool to see them both go all out. Definitely. Do I think if Togami hadn't given up, could he beat Sakura? I still maintain that I think he could have. I think that he probably could have beaten Sakura if he wanted to, but he was just like, at this point, it almost becomes more of a symbolic statement for him to lose, and him losing being a statement of, hey, what we're doing at Shishitorin, I've realized is wrong. We need to flip the switch, change the code up, and reprioritize and restructure some things, right? And meanwhile, Suo is like, Sakura, oh my gosh, you're amazing. We should totally fight. Oh, it's just, like, Suo is all about it. I am Narai. I am Narai being like, I just don't get it, but it moved me. Just, Narai, you might as well look at Narai and be like, that's a Romania insert character, because it really kind of is. It's all about it. And then Hiragi's like, well, who could have thought that Sakura would go this far? And Umemiya's like, bitch me. Umemiya's like, I was observational and definitely saw this coming. So y'all don't trust me? I also like this Sugi this entire time has been like, I was waiting for Sugi just like spit at the floor or something. Like, whatever, Sakura. Bless him. But yeah. And Choji just watching the fight with glassy, glazed over eyes. Like, Choji just does not even care at this point, which is sad. I want Choji to care again, but we really need Umemiya to knock some sense into him, right? And I like that we see Sakura looking back on Togami from before and being like, you were really lame. And I didn't like you at all. And now that you've changed and kind of opened back up, I'm kind of all about this. I'm like, yes, it's great. But yeah, these guys, he says this to me as an opponent. I've never been called by my name. I love Sakura kind of recognizing that Togami respects him as an opponent. That's such a great moment. I love that. And just them just beating each other to a bloody pulp. God. Tachibana, they're all going to come back from this match to that cafe. And Tachibana's going to be like, really, guys? Y'all okay? Just love it. And then, yeah, Togami saying he's having an irritating amount of fun here. His movements are getting better and better, though. Yeah, Sakura, when Sakura gets into it, I love it. I love how I'm going to find Huckleberry's toy here. Where is it? There it is. I just love how much he gets into it. You could tell he's just having so much fun. And then them kicking each other in the face and knocking each other out. I honestly thought that they were going to punch each other's lights out and that was going to be the end of it. I thought they were going to punch each other, knock each other out, and that was going to be the end. I thought it was going to be a draw. I thought it was going to be a draw. I did not anticipate Togami like giving up on the punch at the very end. Because at first he just gives up altogether. And Choji's like, why? Why did you do this? He's like, I didn't know fights felt this good. You almost wonder if Choji's a little jealous in that moment of Sakura, but I don't think so. I think he's just kind of like numb to everything at this point. And he's like, well, you kept me company long enough, so let's just end it. And then, yeah, they both go after and fight each other. They go for the punch. And right as I love Sakura's face there, even though that one eye is like almost closed from being beaten up, like his one eye, he's just so excited. And then Togami's like, yeah, no matter how strong my opponent, I'm not going to distort who I am. He's like, this is what I should have done. I should have fought Choji, but I averted my eyes and I looked the other way. Such a good scene. It's such a good scene. I love the storytelling with it. I didn't push through with who I was. He's like, I didn't stand up for my convictions. He's like, I'm supposed to be a devotee of power, but I was so weak in that moment when I should have stood up and flexed that power rather than backing down and succumbing to weakness. I'm like, it's so good. I love it because it's so simple. It's such a simple little narrative twist, but it's just done perfectly. And I'm like, that's satisfying. That's why this show has become like a comfort anime to me, because there's so many layers. There's layers with the symbolism, there's layers with the character development, there's layers with the theme. But what I like about this show, I think the most, is that this show is not pretentious. It is not trying to be like, it's not, there are some anime you watch and they're like, we're making these deep philosophical statements that are they're deep and philosophical, but not that deep. It's not freaking War and Peace, y'all. But there are some anime that try to do that, and it kind of like the pretentiousness of it kind of makes my little eye twitch a little bit. It makes my eye twerk a little bit. But this series is not trying to be pretentious. It's just telling a simple story. It's telling us about some simple, great, deep, important narrative tropes, but it's not doing it in a preachy way. It's not doing it in a like, holier than thou way. It's just like, here it is right in front of you. It's so simple, but it's still powerful. And I love that about it. I love how like honest this show is and genuine. And he's like, you're not afraid of pushing your will through no matter who you face. No, Sakura is not afraid to that to a fault. To a fault. And I love that he just, for a moment, Togame kind of like, his expression falls and then he just smiles. He's like, don't ever change. Thank you. Yeah. I honestly, we even get an ab shot of Togame in this episode. Damn. He's like, I can't stand up anymore, so I give up. I would make that shot of him, the thumbnail of him just passed out there. I would make it the thumbnail, but I feel like that might be too spoilery. So we'll have something different, but that's such a good shot. Yeah, I can't picture Sakura changing. I can't picture him changing who he is. I could picture Sakura getting dejected if he lost a battle. I could see that, but I can't see him fundamentally changing who he is. I feel like Sakura is he's so stubborn as a character, I can't see him changing. So yeah. And then everybody's like, well, what the hell, Togame? What do you mean you're giving up? And her eyes just like crying, like, oh, did he win? Is it over? And Sue was like, oh, well, that's a turn of events. And Sakura's like, well, hey, we weren't done. What about that at the end? Why'd you lose on purpose? And that's when Choji jumps up on the stage. He's like, you're so strong. You should go against me sometime. I feel like him constantly jumping up and down is like, you see boxers. Boxers are really light on their feet, and the footwork that they do, like, even though Choji is not like, he doesn't have the physique of a boxer. This isn't Mignon. But he's got that little, like, kind of like sort of boxer flexing going on to him. And I'm like, oh, he's ready to go. He is ready to go. But yeah, he's like, come on, Ume-chan. I really thought he was going to drag his jacket off of him. Now, Sakura made the mistake of grabbing Choji. Ought not have done that. And he's like, oh, come on, Ume-chan. There's no justice for us here. He's like, this is going to be fun, right? He's like, I was in the wrong. Hurry on over. And he's like, come on. The moment that Togame goes to grab Choji, I'm like, oh, you're going to get the snot kicked out of you. And that he does. He's like, let's hurry up and fight. And then the moment he goes to touch his shoulder, he kicks him right in the head and knocks him away. Yeah. Like instantly, like done. Like, bam, it's over. And yep. He's like, shut up already. He's like, you lost, so stay quiet. And then, of course, Sakura gets pissed because he's like, hey, he was in the right. Like, what are you doing? And thankfully, Choji's like, oh, you gonna punch me? I feel like Choji was like, oh, you're gonna punch me. If you touch me, then you're free game. And thank God Umemiya stepped in. I feel like Umemiya, the moment Sakura grabbed him, Umemiya was like, no, not your fight. Not your fight. Damn, that was such a good move. He's like, time to swap. I love that he's like, no. Umemiya and Choji both having this bubbly surface personality, hiding this inner like demon energy is, when I tell you I'm very excited for episode 9, I'm very excited for episode 9. He's like, it looks like you guys had a proper conversation. Sakura's like, what? We were talking? Sakura's like, we didn't have a conversation. But they did. And he's like, look, your action right now is proof of that. You and Togame see more eye to eye. So that's why you're trying to defend him, because you understand where he's coming from. That's why you're trying to defend his honor. And Sakura, I'm surprised Sakura wasn't a blushing fiend during all this, but he has too much blood on his face for that. And he's like, hey, Togame, I'll take it from here. Is that cool? And he's like, please. Togame's like, sure, pal. Go right at it. He's like, I'm getting off this stage. You're quite the busybody. Yeah. And then Choji has no reaction to any of this. Like, that's probably the scariest part, is Choji has no reaction. And then he tells Umeya, he's like, don't die. And Sakura's like, excuse me? And Umeya's like, okay, cool. I always think that when characters leave their jackets on, and Sakura's like, if you lose, I'll beat you up. And Umeya's like, sure, Jan, go for it. Why does this piss me off so much, he says. Yeah, he's like, I should be used to someone else getting beat up. Well, it's because he made a connection with Togame. And he's like, I didn't have a conversation. I didn't hear any words from my fists. And then he falls into Rai's like face is red from crying. Sugi, we don't see him. He's over there like, whatever, don't care. Hiragi's like, hey kid, good job. And Suo's like, hey boo, how you doing? Come sit right here by me. Love it. He's like, welcome back. That was amazing. It touched my heart. Yeah. He's like, that last bit was Togame's way of setting things right. You did really well. I do love that we get a little blush from Sakura there, where he's like, just fine, just gonna look the other way. Choji's like, we can finally fight. So, Umeya's like, hey, sup Choji, I'm an empath. He's like, I'm an empath, probably gonna be a social work major if it wasn't for this whole boyfriend thing. Did you feel anything watching that fight with your bestie up on the stage? And Choji's like, feel what, Nani? And he's like, okay, cool. So you're in that numb phase. Well, I'm going to have to beat that out of you. I hope that's okay. He's like, I see. Whenever a character does the Reen from Free hair push back moment, I'm like, oh, it's on. Oh, it's on at that point. And then, yeah, we've got like the broken glass and the sign and the puddle. That shot of Choji with like the light in his eye, it looks absolutely terrifying. And so does Umeya. I mean, Umeya is like kind of pissed at Choji because he's let it get to this point. And he's like, Umi-chan, it's really unfair. So unfair. Bofrin has so many strong kids. He's like, we don't have any. Everyone's so weak. It's no fun. Now, Umeya notices, as I'm sure all of Bofrin does, that most of the Shishitoran guys have been placated by Togame being like, hey guys, Choji's our leader. He's not really, here's the devotees of power and all that. Togame made up the lore to support Choji, but also to where the people of Shishitoran wouldn't just like abandon him or try to, angrily beat him up. But now they're seeing that logic on stage. Is this really what Choji thinks of us? And Togame's like, I can do nothing to stop it now. And then Choji's like, if I win, then Bofrin and you become part of my gang. And Umeya's like, sure, Jan, we'll go with that. So the moment he said that, I'm like, yeah, they're not all going to become yours. That's not how this is going to work. He's like, you're the top of Furin. You're stronger and freer than everyone else. But here's the thing. I think Choji has it backwards. I don't think that Umeya is the most free of Bofrin. It's kind of the opposite. Umeya is the most restricted and locked in at Bofrin. He doesn't get freedom. His freedom is growing tomato plants on the roof of that school. And maybe some THC too. But that is like that is the limits of his freedom. The rest of his time is focused on being a leader. It's focused on delegating. It's focused on taking care of things, being moral support, being motivation. Like, he is not a free individual in the sense that Choji thinks freedom is. He's very much tied down by all of this responsibility, but that's part of it. And so I feel like they're going to have to come to terms with that in the next episode or so to talk about that. Yeah, he's like, these boring days will end. And Umeya's like, boring days? You need a hobby. If you are bored, you need a hobby. It makes me think of like it makes me think of, I watch a lot of videos about like de-influencing and about hyper-consumerism because it's so easy and tempting to shop so much. And I have to like make myself not do it. And so the de-influencing videos help. But I'm not as bad as some people. Some people just need a hobby. They've made shopping their hobby, for example, and they think, oh, well, as soon as I get this one thing, like I think of, there was recently like a Starbucks cup in the US that went really viral, and people were trying to get this stupid bear cup that was like glass and $30 and doesn't even fit in your cup holder. The moment they said it didn't fit in the cup holder, I was like, nope, not at all. But they were trying to get this cup, and there were several influencing people online that were like, this is all I have to look forward to. And I was like, oh, you need a hobby, friend. You need a hobby, because once you get the cup, is that going to fill the gaping void in your soul? Nope. You're going to need something else. And Choji kind of reminds me of that. He thinks Bofrin is the bear cup and it's going to solve all his problems. And Umemiya is like, no, actually, I don't think it will. So to be fair, Choji, the little jackrabbit gremlin that he is, using all these acrobatics, the choreography of him jumping up onto Umemiya's like shoulders and trying to like get him is crazy. Crazy. And just punching the heck out of his face. And Umemiya's like, not the hair. That, him just tucking him under his legs, insane. Insane. Yeah. This kid, limber. Limber as a little noodle. And Umiya's like, okay, here we go. I feel like, though, do I think that Umiya is going to take the Bofrin jacket off? Probably not. Probably not. I feel like whenever a character gets super serious, though, they take the jacket off. I am Narai, a stone statue. And Suo describes it really well. They're reckless movements. It's just frenetic, reckless, monstrous chaos energy, which is Choji absolutely. I feel like Umemiya is a lot more calculated and precise. So I'm going to be very curious. It would be really cool if we found out that Umemiya is actually not that strong. It would be interesting if we found out Umemiya is not really that strong, but he does like, he aura farms so much that he just uses his aura to like amplify like one or two attacks, and he just needs a KO. That's all he needs. That's all he needs. It'd be interesting to find that out. I'm curious. We'll see. And I like Sakura having the recognition of, oh crap. If I hadn't been stopped back there, I would have got the bejesus kicked out of me. Poor Sakura. Sakura's like, I need to get stronger. And I'm like, well, you need to be watching this match to see how much stronger you need to get. Ugh. Yeah, he's just like, it's Choji fighting is like somebody just spamming moves on a controller. Umemiya's moves are pretty calculated, like really hard thrusting punches that are very calculated. And he also does a lot of defensive moves, it looks like. He's like, it's gonna stay rough as long as you say woulda, coulda, shoulda. He's like, so go all out, basically. He's like, Tomomiya, you had it rough, huh? And Choji doesn't like being, I feel like he thinks Umemiya is assuming a lot about him, and he doesn't like that. And Umemiya's like, are you gonna go all out or not? He's like, as I said, all this talk, Ume-chan, you don't make any sense. But then Ume, like, brings that damn fist up, and he swipes at him and knocks him back, but just the force. I think it did hit him, but it was the force. It went so fast. He's like, you don't get it. Yeah. Oh. Against someone who can't understand something so simple. I'm 100% sure. Oh, that neck crack. I'm not going to lose. Oh, that neck crack was insanely satisfying. And I'm not going to try to make my neck crack like that. But, y'all, I've been waiting for Choji versus Umemiya this whole time. And we're now in it next episode. So that's exciting. This episode was so good. It was mostly fight and choreography, but just what else do you want? What else do you want? I never thought that a fighting show would be oddly satisfying as it is, but it very much has a Dragon Ball Z vibe, the fight styles do. I would argue, I'm going to get so much shade, I would argue some of the choreography is maybe better than Dragon Ball Z. I'm going to get shade for that, but some of it is better. I'm just saying. Dragon Ball Z ran so this show could rollerblade. Right? Right? So I feel though like I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and you'd be like, why would you want to watch a fighting show every episode where they're just fighting each other? And this has the same kind of feel as Dragon Ball Z, where it's oddly kind of cathartic, where you're just watching it, but the fights lend to the characters having discussions. I mean, this show is clearly inspired by it. So I'm so excited for episode 9. But episode 8, the rule of 8, it does not let us down, y'all. It does not let us down. So I want to know your thoughts down below about Togami, about Sakura versus Togami, about our little gremlin Choji. Please no spoilers for next episode. We'll be getting to it in a week. Y'all know how it goes. Also, please help my channel out. Give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And leave a comment down below. I would love to talk to you about this episode. So let's keep the chat going down below. I hope you all enjoyed my reaction and my rambles. But Romania will be back very soon with episode 9 of Windbreaker. So stay safe, be careful, and I'll see you all next week. Have a good one. Bye.